Cremate with Mirabel Technologies. And thank you for joining today's webinar regarding Digital Studio, digital editions, and branded app functionality. Kind of a long way of basically saying that this is our digital editions kind of overview. And be happy to kind of show you some of the offerings that we have here that we are offering you as a valued client with Mirabel Technologies and with the Magazine Manager. As I said, this is a webinar. We have offered several free webinars over a variety of different topics, and they are made available to you after they've been recorded and uploaded to your help area within the Magazine Manager. And just to access that help area, you would just simply go, after you've logged into the Magazine Manager, go to the help icon at the upper right-hand side. It's a little circle with a white question mark on it. From there, on the left-hand margin, you would just simply go ahead and click the webinars area. There's a past webinars as well as future webinars listing. The past webinars are all recorded previous webinars available for you. And then you have the upcoming, which give you a little teaser regarding the topic that will be discussed, and also the ability to sign up for that webinar. Now, if you happen to have any sort of experience with these webinars, or if this is your first time, just keep in mind that if you do need to ask a question.
Sharing your screen, or you didn't change it?
Yeah, I'm showing myself.
Always use that. If you want to help her.
Sorry about that. If you are able to sign up for one of those upcoming webinars, great, fantastic. We'd love to have you. Like I said, if you do happen to have a question throughout this webinar, there is a little area there in your go-to webinar screen where you are able to raise your hand and go ahead and ask a question. Again, it's under the questions area there. You just simply put in a question, and one of our team members, who's actually as well on the webinar, will go ahead and address those. Okay? So what is this webinar about? Like I said, it's about the digital editions area. What am I going to show you today? Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you all the different avenues that you have when you publish through Digital Studio. Now, the assumption is being made here that you have already taken the Digital Studio training, or you are familiar either via a webinar or some of the Learning Center video tutorials on the pagination, flat planning, etc. portion of that. This is actually strictly with the digital editions. Okay? Okay, so with the digital editions, if everyone can see my screen here, what exactly are we trying to offer? I mean, what exactly do we want to mention when it comes to digital editions? Well, the goal here at Mirabel Technologies is to provide our readers with a simple, elegant, and enjoyable reading experience. Now, when it comes to that point, we want to make sure that the reader themselves are not distracted by additional add-ons or lots of ads running over to the side or on the borders, which a lot of competitors actually have. These are basically distractions, and they take away from the reader experience. Remember, what you're doing for a digital edition is you're trying to engage your reader. You don't simply want to just provide a direct print copy or anything like that. You want to be able to wow them with some of the multimedia or some way to kind of add some social media functionality to that edition. And I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. We use very, very easy to understand icons on our menu bar, and we also provide very simple navigation when the reader is viewing the digital edition. Okay? So where exactly can I publish? Okay, so when I'm publishing from the Digital Studio, I know that there is a button there that just says publish for mobile devices. What exactly does that mean? Well, when you do have a digital edition and you do publish it out, it's automatically available in 4 different areas. And I'm just going to show you a couple of these real quick. You can see my screen right now. With the screen itself, basically what we're looking at here, and let me just move this over here a little bit, is that by typing in on the web itself, mirabelsmagazinecentral.com, okay, and you can all do that as well here, on any web browser, as well as any Mac or PC, or if someone's running a Linux machine, anything like that, you are able to access our online digital newsstand. Okay. You can see that you have the ability to search by publisher. You can also search by a category, and there are quite a few in there. Or you can search by the actual product itself. And one thing on the category is that all of this is going to be defined within the Digital Studio area prior to publishing. So your production person will be able to choose what category they would like their publication to be listed under and be searchable by. If we take a look at some of these magazine itself, and again, these are all of our current clients that are actually listed down here. There's many, many, many that you can go through. But just to kind of taking a look at some of these here, this first one here, if I wanted to go ahead and actually view, I could do so by just clicking on the View button itself. And you'll notice that once that actually loads up there, I have basically, again, that clean interface. I'm looking at a very, very simple interface itself. I'm not worried about having anything in regards to ads on the side or any sort of flashing areas there, nothing like that. Okay. I'm going to actually take a look at some of these menu icons up here. As you can see that I've got the ability through this auto hide to go to home. I can go back to my cover if I wanted to. And then I can also, again, start scrolling through the different areas. I'm actually going to switch this to a 2-page right now. Okay. Some of the options that are available on here with this auto hide is that you have the ability to share. Whoops, let me just bring that back up. No, that's actually clicking that other link here. I'm going to do a little bit of a, see if I can bring this up here again. There we go. Looks like it's actually up to this next page here. It was very, very close. Nope, that's still clicking that link. Okay. A little bit of an issue with the display here real quick. My apologies. What you're going to see here is that in regards to some of the offerings themselves, because of the fact that this is HTML5 based, again, you can go through cross-platforms, or PCs, Macs, etc. And after that initial publishing, it's automatically available out here on the newsstand. So what does that mean? Well, you can see that if I wanted to, I've got the ability here to move over to my share area. And let's see here, actually it's bringing back on that web. I'm going to actually bring this back over here to home, and I'm going to take a look and decide that, let's say that perhaps I want to go ahead and take a look at different magazine here just for a second. Again, that category working pretty well there for the search. And actually being able to view that. Okay, so as you can see, that share function that I was trying to get to beforehand, I was having a little bit of a problem there with the way that my screen is set up on this presentation. The share option, well, what does the share option do for me? Well, by clicking share, if I wanted to share an individual page from within that digital edition, I can do so. The default is just sharing by email itself. Of course, I can put in the name and also put in the email ID. And I can decide to share and put that on Facebook if I wanted to, or I could put it on Twitter or even on LinkedIn. And that will actually give me a link directly to this edition. Okay. Where would this basically coming into play here? I mean, besides obviously the social media sharing itself and being able to kind of get that information out there to your readers, just know that from prior to actually publishing, you are able to include not only the social media aspect itself, but as you'll see here in just a second with some of the other apps available, that you can actually even share out specifics regarding the page. But you can see that's pretty easy share function just found within the actual website. Okay. Just to the right of that, we have a multimedia option. Now, the multimedia itself, if you happen to include multimedia within your digital edition, then by clicking on this multimedia icon here, it would actually list out directly for your client where all of those files are, video files, audio files, etc., within the publication itself. So if they wanted just to go directly to that media, they can do so. They don't have to go search by the pages or anything like that. In addition, there's a More area here. I'm just going to move this little webinar. There's a More area. If I click that More area, you'll see that there's a Subscribe button. I can also go to Pages. See how that changes actually at the bottom. And also a table of contents. Again, all of that is configurable from within Digital Studio itself. I can easily go directly to a different page and also go easily to the next area. Now, what about for the people who are actually trying to focus on here that may not want to take a look at the digital edition on the web? Right? Let's say that they want to actually go ahead and say, hey, what about for me? You know, I've got a lot of people who are dealing with iPads. You know, that my clientele wants to go ahead and use iPads. If I publish here, do I also get the ability to have somebody also use a iPad? And the answer to that is yes. And basically what you would do here, and I'm just going to bring it up here real quick, and hopefully you'll be able to see this on my screen. Okay. Okay, and this is my iPad right now. Okay, and you should be able to see that. Now with the new iOS, it makes everything look a little cartoony. But what we have is a free application, and it's called Magazine Central. And the Magazine Central app is free, again, and what that will allow your users to do is after you've actually published, they can go ahead and say, oh, you have an iPad? Go ahead and install Magazine Central for the iPad. It's free. You can see that it's there at the bottom right-hand side right now of the screen. And what does it look like? Well, it's very, very similar to the way that the web version is. Okay? So again, I can go in there, I can do a search for which magazine that I'm looking for. I could have someone say, yep, go ahead and just do a quick search for ABC Incorporated, bring up that magazine, no problem. Now here's the difference, that's a big difference, is that unlike the web, remember with the web we only had the ability to look at view and also more, and more was actually more of just a description of what that individual publication was. But with the application, you do have a download button, and you can see that for some of these there's a download and then there's also view. The reason why some of them say view is because I've already actually downloaded those before. But what happens is that when you do download one of these editions, they are available, if you look at the upper left-hand side, in your library. Okay? And so I can, if I'm a tablet user and I'm actually out on a plane somewhere and I've already downloaded a few things, you still are reaching all of those people. You're still able to you know, they can read your information, you can open up information from within here, and it's completely at their leisure. They don't have to be online at the time. Some of the options from within the actual iPad Magazine Central app, okay, other than obviously the library aspect itself, I also have an archive. If I click that archive, it will actually be removed, and if I want to download it again for free, I can do so. So I can choose to archive that. It'll take that out of my view. Over there to the right of library, you can see Store. Now the store itself is again simulating exactly what we had on the website. Okay? It's just that again, you have the ability to download as well. Okay? Also, just to the right of Store, you're going to see a What's New. And that What's New is basically going to highlight the latest publication from the clients themselves on this Magazine Central side. Okay, so it looks like Seattle Business is the most recent publication out there, so they kind of get that promo spot. You also have, again, the categories. The categories allows you to kind of choose exactly, you know, which label itself. We've got some sports in there, and always works with design. Again, you can also go back and decide, well, maybe I want to look at some 2012 issues, or if I wanted to choose a certain month, I can do so. Okay. There's again that search up there at the very top. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just put in a quick search here. Oh, look at that. Well, that looks like a pretty interesting cover there. I can already tell it looks, I believe that's the Florida Marlins owner, so I know that's got to be a wonderful tale if it has to do with them and their losing season. But so if I wanted to download that, I do have the ability here. I can say, well, you know, do you want to go ahead and just download it now, or do I want to read now? I'm going to say I'm going to go ahead and download that now. And you can see that this is a pretty way the issue, not too bad, just depending on the internet speed itself. But that'll go ahead and I can actually download in the background. And once that's done, it'll be available to me once again in my library. Okay. In addition, some of the other settings are just to the right of that search area there in the upper right-hand side. There's a little settings area, and they've got a frequently asked questions. Kind of shows us a little bit about the app itself. You know, if you have any issues with the app, or you got some issues you want to return to your library, etc. It's a very, very nice and pretty screen sensitive, or excuse me, screen heavy kind of walkthrough itself if you have any sort of problems. So it's a nice FAQ. In addition, in that same area, I have the manage subscriptions, restore. I also have a clear cache itself, which will kind of obviously get rid of any of those thumbnails. If I happen to want to kind of wipe and start over on some of the things within my library, I can do so. And while that's downloading, I'm just going to go back to my library here. I can see that if I wanted to focus on a certain periodical within the library, I can do so. So this sort of changes between actually having all of them listed out or just one at a time. Okay. So pretty nice in regards to the actual look and feel and regarding the consistent interface itself that the web had. Now, in addition to this, how about for folks that have your, you know, you've got a few people that may have some Google Android tablets, and I know that I've got one as well. And so the Android version itself is also available out there. And just to kind of show you what that looks like, okay, from the Android version itself, you would go to the Google Play Store. And again, the Google Play Store, if you're familiar with probably your Android phones, for your tablet, you just go to the Google Play Store, so sort of the Apple App Store, so to speak. And once you're actually in that area there, you would just simply go ahead and let's move that down here. There we go. You would just simply go to the apps area, and then from apps, go ahead and just search for Magazine Central here in the search area. And there's, once you find the Magazine Central app itself, you would go ahead and just install that directly. So again, it's a free app, and you're offering your clients the ability to receive a free app and actually get to your periodical, your publication, in several different ways. Now, we already talked about the web version. We also talked about the iPad app version itself, and then we also talked with the Android version. But there's also another version, and that's for the Kindle. And so for folks that have the Amazon Kindle itself, even though technically it's what's considered an Android tablet, they have sort of like their own store set up. So it's very proprietary. So it's called the Amazon App Store. And the Amazon App Store itself does also have its own Magazine Central free app. And so you can just simply go to the Amazon App Store and you'd be able to go ahead and kind of take a look at that aspect. Okay. Now while this is kind of going on here, I'm going to go back to the store here. Okay. And again, we want to make sure that we're on the same page when it comes to what exactly do we want to offer for that reader, okay? And from the reader itself, just kind of keep in mind that when you do go to Mirabelle's Magazine Central, either on your PC or if you happen to have a tablet with you, I highly recommend installing that and taking a look at the actual reading experience with the simple flip from right to left. It's very, very elegant interface, and compared to what you can probably see out there with readers, you will be very, very impressed with just how refined it is and elegant. Okay. Now remember, when it comes to the actual publications themselves through Digital Studio, we've gone ahead and we know that you can be out actually on Mirabelle's Magazine Central, and you can actually, by doing that one time, you're also available to all of your Android users, all of your Apple users, just the web users, as well as the Kindle users. But sometimes what happens is that maybe you would like to have a little bit more of that exclusivity. And what I mean by that is something that we refer to here as a branded app. Now the branded app itself, and I'm actually just going to back here to the main screen, a branded app is actually something that will allow you to be included within the Apple Newsstand. Okay, so you instead of just being out on the Mirabelle's Magazine Central itself and being available to your users, if you would like something that's just completely on its own, but that we take care of for you and put you right there in the middle of like the Vogue and Entertainment and Time Magazine, etc. If you want to get out there in that area there, you would go the route of the branded app. Now, what is the branded app? Well, the branded app itself means that you have you and Apple, and also there's a little bit of a teaser here because we'll be talking about Google in just a second. But if you happen to have like a paid subscription right now, maybe you're not a Circle model, maybe you just want to be on your own and just in there by yourself, you can actually go the route of the branded app. Now, there is a pricing detail with the branded app itself. And if you do happen to have a paid subscription, and by the way, you can do free or paid, but if you do have a paid subscription, going the branded app route means that there is a 70-30 split with Apple. And so you do keep 70% of the proceeds and 30% do go to Apple. Okay. What does this give you? Well, basically, if you're going to the Apple Newsstand, you can see that your actual magazine itself will be listed within your Newsweeks, your Sports Illustrated, your Entertainment, etc. I'm going to take, for example, this branded app, which is Gold Coast, and I'm going to go ahead and view this. Okay. I can see that with this, again, being its own branded app, it's, again, got an exclusivity to it. I do have the same sort of ability like I had beforehand. I can say, oh, let me take a look here. You know, let's say I want to maybe see if there's any multimedia. Oh, look at that, there is. You know, oh, let's see. I can put all the different videos in here. Let's say that I want to take a look at, let's play this video. Oh, it's on page 71, great. And by the way, just remember that with this video itself, again, this isn't just for the branded app. As we talked about beforehand, you can include that in just your regularly published editions as well. But this branded app just happens to have a lot of different multimedia in here. One of the things also with the branded app itself is, again, folks can have a library where they have previously downloaded issues. And it also let us know what's new. And see that what's new here is that these are archived editions. These are previous editions there at the bottom of that same publication. So I can always go back and I can take a look at the different editions itself here because I'm basically buying that branded app. I'm buying that magazine and being able to have the ability to go in there, especially if you're a paid publication, maybe giving them a deal on the pricing structure for a previous issue or having that right at their fingertips. Again, there's a subscribe option in there as well, and looks like I'm already subscribed. We go back into the actual previous edition there. And let's say that, go back up here to the same very familiar interface. Okay. I can see that I've got a couple of different options in here as well. Again, we have the share. You can see that with the share in this area here, we've got the mail, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, and LinkedIn. I think I just said the Facebook, which is just like my dad saying the Google, so my apologies on that. Again, I can actually take an exact link from within here. I can say that I want to send it to Facebook. It's going to put that in as a hyperlink directly to this edition. Okay. Same thing goes for some of the other ones. Obviously, it's going to be asking or prompting you for your own personal LinkedIn or Tumblr, whoever the reader is. Under this more area there, something I want to show you is that there is an option on what we call a clip and share. You see with this clip and share, we click that. This allows the reader to move this area, the predefined area. Maybe this might be a good example here. Just maybe this this one sentence or this one little paragraph, and being able to say that's the only thing I really want to send from this. I don't want to send the whole page. I just want to send a specific area. Once that's highlighted on there, just simply click the share up here, and now I can share this information out directly. Not to the full page, but just to this area. Okay. We also have the ability to put in bookmarks. If I wanted to make a new bookmark for this page, I'm going to move on to this next area, make another bookmark. I can keep doing so, and of course I can delete these as well. And also I have the ability there with the pages, by just clicking pages over there at the bottom, all of my pages in this edition I can easily jump to. Okay. And then if I want to, I can just go back to home as well. Now, I mentioned something about for Google, and we're very excited about this, is that when you go the route of the branded app, and just basically just kind of going back to that sort of exclusivity again, we are also offering the Google Play Store, which is the Android version of the app, in the same price of the branded app itself. So instead of just focusing just on the Apple iPad, which again has a still pretty significant market share when it comes to tablet users, but if you look at the numbers, Android tablet users are greatly expanding, and a lot of it has to do with just the builds of the tablets themselves, as well as them being maybe a couple $100 cheaper. But you will actually get that in the Google Play Store, what we refer to as the Google Play Newsstand, and that's actually going to be available as well there. So you get kind of the 2-for-1 area there. Okay. Now, let's talk about in regards to what can we do? I mean, what can we do with those digital editions? I mean, what exactly, how are people putting it out there? How are they marketing that? Well, good question. I mean, you know, you want to make sure, as I showed you, in regards to the social media aspect, you've got to get your digital edition out there and make sure it's on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. If you don't have a resource right now in-house that's actually addressing the social media, then you're definitely behind the 8 ball a little bit. You want to make sure that you've got somebody who's putting that information out, and actually having a digital edition this way, kind of in a way you've got your sales folks, etc., that can help share out information, and then obviously your readers as well. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, some of the clients themselves, they'll have multiple posts promoting items in their own issue, and so you can take full advantage of that. A lot of times you can possibly see that people for the upselling portion for digital edition, being able to give them additional Facebook mentions, that sort of thing. What would be important probably is that you have maybe the sales team and especially I would say even the editorial team kind of put together and place like a monthly marketing plan, basically kind of showing what digital edition promotions or social media posts are going to be generated, which days. Also, first of the month, when you do post a digital edition, you want to make sure that everyone knows the issues available to read. Maybe you kind of include that in some of your email blasts if you do some sort of a weekly blast itself or marketing email that goes out. Also, maybe a direct page to the link itself. We talked a little bit about just putting the links on there and being able to direct individuals that way, directly to that. That's a good way to do it. You post that, people can see the status update. There's like a captive headline. They can click on the link. It'll take them directly into that feature. And then maybe afterwards, again, from the social media standpoint, maybe a week after you post that new edition, you post the feature. Maybe part of that, part of the magazine itself. Hey, we got a lot of good information back regarding our interview with Dan Marino or something like that, and actually putting it out there. And you want to go ahead and repeat that, and that way kind of keep people coming back to that special section of the digital edition. Because remember, we're looking at this, again, not as just a copy of your print magazine, but being able to include more information in there, the multimedia aspect, the social media aspect, etc. The other thing to do is if you happen to use HTML for your marketing email, maybe blast out that marketing email saying, the January 2014 issue is ready for both digital as well as iPad and Android download. Being able to kind of include that out. I know that sometimes with marketing itself that you probably want to send the two emails out, one showing the pictures itself and one that's maybe just more of a rich text link, just depending on the security on their standpoint on receiving pictures, etc. Also, if you do happen to have any house space available, like as regards to your printed issue, you want to make sure and promote the fact that you can view digital editions, or especially if you can leverage the Magazine Central iPad app download or Google Play app download. I mean, that way, right there on the print edition itself, which print is very costly, being able to kind of point them directly to a subscription page where they can fill it out, and then going forward, maybe they receive the digital copy when ready, right, instead of the print copy. Oh, yeah, I'd rather see it from the digital copy side. Sure, no problem. I mean, even if it's just something as simple as, did you know you can get this on the web? You can get this on the Android tablets? Did you know you can get this on the iPad? Get your sales force engaged on that. Get them engaged on selling to potential advertisers, and let them know that, you're being device agnostic. You're cross-platform out there. You want to get their ad in as many as many eyeballs as possible. And the other thing is that from a digital edition standpoint is you really want to make sure to send the digital edition to all your editorial advertisers and your stories, because people who are being written about are naturally going to forward this along, as well as advertisers who are in your issue. Makes sense. You kind of have a built-in demographic there. One thing to remember too is just in regards to the way that the branded app, as well as just the publishing through Mirabel's Magazine Central, the way that actually is working, is the fact that it's important to remember that it is, for all intents and purposes, fairly new. I mean, it's fairly new in regards to digital itself, and being able to kind of people are always wondering, well, is this the next big thing, or is it it's just another phase? Well, I can tell you the print is it's slowly eradicating, so and not so slowly in some portions of it, but people will always want that small portion of it, but at the same time, more and more people are embracing, not just with the sales of the tablets and iPads and Android tablets and such, but just in regards to having that mobility. Everyone is constantly on the go now. Giving them the opportunity to read at their own leisure is nice, and this interface definitely ties into that. In regards to the way that this is tied in with the Digital Studio itself, I do highly recommend that folks take the Digital Studio training. which, again, if you want to talk to your software consultant on that, I believe we're still in the free sessions until the end of the month. This month, we've extended that out so that, again, it's free Digital Studio training. Just contact your software consultant and get something scheduled on that. Tying in with that as well, that all of the branded apps as well as just the digital publishing on Mirabel's Magazine Central site, through Magazine Central, the apps themselves, there's reporting. There's a very robust reporting that's available. The publisher is going to be able to receive and also editorial, production, etc. A lot of really good analytics. Basically what you're getting with both is you're getting 24/7 access to the analytics within Digital Studio. You get to see page views by product, by issue. Also get to see individual views by page, by issue. You get to see total visitors by product or issue. And there's also something called event tracking. And the event tracking itself is by product, issue, and being able to, I mean, think about this example. I mean, imagine being able to send your advertisers an email at the end of each month and tell them that you sent 500 plus clients to their website. That'd be pretty nice. Now for the iPad branded app, and by the way, what I just said with the reporting is also available just even if you don't get the branded app, but if you do go the branded app route, you do get some subscriber data. And this is for free and paid subscribers. Due to whenever you're installing on the iPad itself, that you are prompted to put in your iTunes account password. And that subscriber data that you get back is going to include name and address, zip code, etc. So being able to kind of target a certain demographic, you'll have all that information and those reports right at your fingertips. In addition to that, being able to provide analytics broken out by reader viewing preference. You can actually say, how many of my readers were web only? How many actually saw it within our application itself? How many saw it by the Android, etc. Being able to have all of that and kind of focus on. Now remember also with the digital editions themselves, we just kind of showed a little bit regarding the actual multimedia, but some of the other things that you can actually include on there are auto hot links for the web pages. I mean, when an asset's basically, and when we call an asset, and again, I don't want to go too far into Visual Studio, however, anytime a hyperlink is put on an uploaded page for publication, we actually highlight that hot link so it's easily recognized. You see here at the very bottom here, I've got a couple of different links that will take me directly to that advertiser. Okay. In addition, like I said, with the bookmarking of pages and the multimedia, where you can actually do videos and slideshows and upload audio files. We already talked about the emailing of the sharing of pages, the social media sharing and posting, like the Facebook, etc. I said the Facebook at the end, didn't I? Okay. The clip and share. And again, that's just allowing you to select that size area, being able to kind of share that out instead of forced to see the entire page. In addition to that, think about it from an e-commerce standpoint. Being able to actually maybe take an advertiser, let's say a jewelry store, local jewelry store, and John's Jewelry Store, which is a horrible name for a jewelry store, by the way. But let's just say for this example, John's Jewelry Store, maybe they have a specific item, a specific tennis bracelet or a ring that they that maybe somebody would like to kind of clip and send out there. Being able to tell the advertiser, hey John, guess what? Despite the name of your jewelry store, we can still get you a lot of visitors. Why don't we put something down about that tennis bracelet or about that item? And maybe a direct link to your marketplace, or maybe he has an online transaction area. You know, being able to kind of direct traffic to get him more money, that will make John very, very happy. Okay. And then obviously from an offline viewing standpoint, when it comes to the apps themselves, we talked about that, about not having to be connected to the internet and being able to archive, etc. Basically, that's it with the digital editions aspect itself. What I, again, would hope from everyone is to make sure and talk to your software consultant when it comes to the Digital Studio training. Also, in regards to that, getting information up and published is a lot easier than you think. And so please ask your software consultant about the availability of a digital edition for you, maybe getting your first digital edition up there. And they'd be very, very happy to help you along with that. Again, we're going to leave the actual session open here for a little bit for questions and answers through the chat window itself. Please go ahead and just to keep asking the questions. Again, my colleagues are on there that will address them. Once again, my name is Dennis Shumate with Mirabel Technologies. I appreciate everybody's time today, and my apologies for a little bit of a technical problem there at the beginning, but I hope this is very valuable. Again, this webinar will be recorded. It is being recorded, actually, and will be uploaded for availability in the past webinars area, as I referenced at the very beginning of the call, under your help area and past webinars, probably by Monday. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day.